Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ask Kati Anything. Today I'm joined by a very dear friend of mine, Jared Kraft. And he has never done a podcast before, and I feel honored that I would be your first.
I've never done a podcast, so I'm a little bit nervous. I just sprayed my face with Evian, so that's why it's a little wet.
You're gonna be great. So we met, I don't even know the year. I thought you were so cool. So you worked at YouTube. Tell people a little bit about what you did.
Yeah, first I worked at Google. I worked on a team called Global Client and Agency Solutions, which was a consulting team. So I worked with Procter & Gamble, who I had worked with at Viacom before that. And I, ironically enough, worked on feminine beauty. So I worked on tampons, pads, makeup, and skincare. So always Olay, CoverGirl, and Tampax. So what I did there was basically help them figure out what types of content to make, what types of products to use with Google, how to maximize our products the best, to utilize our tools in the most effective ways in order to make more money from them, essentially. And then I was like, it turned more and more into a sales role, and then I wanted to move over to YouTube. So I moved over to YouTube, worked across entertainment, news, and sports in North America. And so I worked across anyone from like the NFL to NCAA to Vogue to CNN and Fox News, Wall Street Journal, basically anyone who fell within entertainment, news, and sports. I'm
curious how you were different then to now.
I mean, listen, I feel like I'm different every single day.
Same.
And I mean, I just feel life was so different then. I think in my 20s versus where I am now, I think my career was so different then. It was like when I think about how I was building my career in my 20s, I think it's kind of parallel to where my life was in my 20s. And it was so much of like trying to build my life for my externals and for like how I thought I was supposed to live and how I thought the world wanted me to live.
Like making it look a certain way.
And I think, growing up closeted from the Midwest, I grew up in Minnesota, and I grew up in a town called Anoka, which was like infamously on the cover of Rolling Stone and like all over the news for having such like, I think there were like 11 or 7 gay suicides in our school district in the matter of a year. I mean, we graduated like Michelle Bachmann, Gretchen Carlson from Fox News. Like it's, a very
conservative area.
like town. And so I think there was so much of me that basically was like, I need to present a certain way and like I need to have these certain things on the outside in order to be capable and like filled with love to be capable of love on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Like in order to, because I even struggle with this too, like what's your worth?
Yeah.
And like instead of it being like internal, intrinsic, it's like external.
Yeah.
And like something that we almost don't have that much control over.
Yeah. And it's something something I still struggle with. I think like undoing of this, like this is something I learned at a very young age. Like I have to have things. And listen, I did this like in high school. I played 4 sports. Mm-hmm. I was in like National Honor Society, student council, like every single thing I could be in, I was in high school, because I thought if I had this all on the outside, then people would like me.
Mm-hmm. So growing up rough.
Yeah. I mean, it's
never all or nothing.
It's like, I don't know. It's like, because in many ways it was like also very fun, because I was like popular growing up. I played sports. Like I went on like trips. I don't have a bad relationship with my family now. I never did. I was like popular in high school. Like I had a lot of friends. I had fun, but there was also, a big part of myself that I was hiding. So there was also difficult moments, but at the same time, it's hard to say like it was rough in a way.
Maybe internally difficult, just like we all have like growing pains and like trying to figure out who we are.
Yeah.
And owning up to that.
But there was also, there was a huge part of me that was like hiding, and I never intended to come out of the closet.
I was just going to ask, because I don't think I know when you came out and how did that happen?
So never in my life was I planning to come out. Like it was never, like growing up, it was never a plan. Like,
did you think you'd like marry a woman?
Yeah, that was always the plan.
Oh,
I knew
no.
I was gay,
Yeah.
but I was never like going to come out. I went to college. And I got injured. I went to college and I wanted to run on the track team. I got injured. I mean, I have, which I'm sure we'll dive into, I have a history, of addiction in my life. At the time, I was struggling with exercise addiction, and I injured my knee. I went to Los Angeles to visit my cousin, who is a lesbian, and that was the first time I have ever like encountered anything.
Do they live in West Hollywood?
She lives, not anymore, but she did at the time live in West Hollywood. It was the first time, and it happened to be Pride weekend, and I came out to her on MySpace. Well, she came out to me on MySpace, and she was like, I don't know how you feel about this, because she's from Africa, and like my family's all in like Minnesota and South Dakota, and my aunt married this guy from Norway. They moved to Africa. And so when she moved to LA, we would all of us cousins were like, we're going to come visit you. We're going to come visit you. And she'd always be like, yeah, come, but like never really meant it.
Well, yeah. And she's like, sure, I guess.
Yeah. And so then I was like, okay, I'm coming. And she was like, I don't really mean that. Like, she told me on MySpace, this was like pre-smartphone era, before you come, I need you to know that like, I'm a lesbian. I have a girlfriend. You're coming during Pride weekend. Like, you're going to be exposed to like this. I'm not sure how you feel about this. Like, I'm not sure if you still want to come, etc. And so then, and I had already like thought maybe she was because of her MySpace photos. And so I think that's what also kind of drew me. I had seen her with like a bunch of women, and I had probably like known, I don't remember like distinctly, like had I known at that time. I was 18 when I booked it, 18 or 19. And then I had told her that I was gay, and that was the first person I had told, and it was via MySpace. And I remember the anxiety was so high, and I kept like running back between like every hour back to my dorm room, like checking to see if she had read, because they had like read receipts back then, to see if she had read the message or if she was online now, because it also had like online now. And yeah, so then I went to LA. And I was exposed to like my first time like being exposed to anything like LGBTQ. And then I was like, okay, I have to move here. Because it was the first time I also was like, oh, they accept gay people here. Because every experience I had like prior to that, I was like, I didn't know that they accepted gay people like in Minnesota and Chicago and like all these other places. So I was like, I have to move to Los Angeles. So I went, got a job waiting table, saved as much money as I could, went to Los Angeles for a year, and that's when like addiction really started, and then went back to Chicago to
Why do you
finish
think
school.
the addiction started in the move?
I mean, listen, it had always kind of like been, and then that's just what kind of when it like, well, the running, I couldn't run the way that I used to, because I used to run like 10, 15 miles a day.
Wow.
And so then I injured my knee, and then
like, how do you
I was also introduced to a white substance in that city, so that
and it is
progressed things a little bit.
Not to say I know this, because I don't, but like I have a lot of friends in the gay community, and it is very drug alcohol based in a lot of ways, and not everybody's that way. But I feel like, especially when you're young and you're like trying to fit in, and you're like, oh my god, this is a whole new world for me. If everybody's doing something, the peer pressure can be more than it might have been if you were somewhere else, or if you'd always felt comfortable with who you were. And
I think, well, in high school it was like I was playing for sports, so there was always the fear of like being kicked off a team, and eventually in senior year I was kicked off a team because I was drinking at homecoming, and so I got caught drinking and I was kicked off everything then. But whenever I drank in high school, it was like I didn't drink that often, but when I did drink, it was always to a blackout.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, I think also when we're young, you do that more. Not to poop, like to pretend like it's normal, but I think it's more when you were younger, we do drink to get wasted. Like it's like, I remember even with my girlfriends, also because you're broke a little, like you'd have like some shitty booze in the trunk, and you'd like park outside of the club and you like drink from the bottle and then
Yeah.
go into the club at like 11 o'clock. Like that's just like what you do at that age. I'm not condoning this behavior. So is this like when you're like 21, 22, 23 when you're out in LA? Like was it when you graduated college?
20 and 21.
Okay.
Just 1 year.
Okay. And then Chicago.
And then back to Chicago. Yeah.
And what was that like?
I mean, LA was like wild and fun. And so that's when I kind of came out. And that's when everyone started kind of knowing because at the time also it was like when Lance Bass came out of the closet and I was out with like in the same, like we weren't friends, but there was like so many mutual friends in like whatever groups. And so I was in photos with him. And I mean, that's when like coming out was such a big deal. It was like on the cover of People magazine when he came out. And so photos of me in the same pictures of him like floated around like high school, like Facebook DMs. Yeah. And so it spread really quickly that I was in photos with Lance Bass. So then it was like,
yeah, is Jared gay?
Is Jared gay? Yada, yada.
Did you officially come out to your parents?
I didn't
a very dramatic way. Or?
No, it was like actually like kind of. So they asked my sister first, which I actually kind of appreciate because it made it just like actually easier.
And you're close with your sister.
And I'm close. We talk every day.
Yeah.
And so she asked me. She asked me wasted at a club after we saw Blue Man Group in Chicago.
Sorry, that's so specific. It's funny.
Well, I was planning to tell her during like the Blue Man Group intermission. I was too afraid. And then she asked me at like 2:30 in the morning. But my parents asked her, and then my cousin who now her and her mom have a better relationship with, but her mom who's very Christian and also living in Africa where it's very different. She had a really hard time with her mom and being gay. And so my cousin asked me if I would talk to my mom about talking to her sister.
Okay, yeah.
And so my mom said, what do you think about it? And I said, Mom, I know you already know that I'm gay because my sister had told me that they asked her. And she goes, oh, I'm totally fine with it. A lot of successful people are gay, like Elton John and Dick Cheney's daughter.
I mean, Elton John is amazing.
That was her response of all people.
But I appreciate that though, because she's essentially probably in her own digesting the information, but also like you can still do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And then I remember like she was like obsessed with the show Brothers and Sisters at the time, and she was like calling me because one of the Sally Field characters' son was gay on the show, and she was like. Called me and she's like, do you know gay people can be lawyers? And then like his boyfriend was a chef, and she's like, they can be chefs, and like,
oh, funny.
So yeah.
So because I always wonder, because that can be really anxiety provoking, because you don't want your family to not accept you. Like your cousin was having a hard time.
Yeah.
I don't know the experience, but it's like if you already feel a little bit unsure, then to have that validated has got to feel terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that yours was like, at least externally, great. Really?
Yeah, and I think also it was like because, I mean, my job in LA was talent relations, so in a weird way, it was like, I mean, at the time it was very exciting because I was going to like the Super Bowl and I was going to like all these things, and where I come from, it was like everyone was like, whoa, he's doing all these cool things and with these like famous people, and so in a weird way, it was like they wanted to like not like that I was gay, but then they were all like, oh, but wait, he's like doing it with these really important people or like important.
Yeah.
But
like it looked successful, it looked exciting.
Yeah. So then they didn't really hate on it. So then it kind of made the whole process a little easier actually.
Yeah, that's good, especially in a small town because I'm from a small town.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons I was like, I have to get the fuck out of here was, I mean, I love you guys, but like, it's just too small. And because everybody's in your business.
Yeah.
And like, I don't need that much feedback. I don't need that, it's like, it starts to feel very suffocating.
Yeah.
So it's nice that at least you felt like they got to come around to it.
I mean, even like, I was in like a sober house in my early 20s, and there was one guy who like threw.
Today's episode is brought to you by Fabletics. I have been living in my Fabletics sets lately. I got a pair of their no-roll waistband leggings and their fuzzy fleece jacket, and honestly, I didn't expect to reach for them as much as I do. I've worn the leggings for Pilates, but also for running errands and even traveling because they somehow stay put and stay comfortable. And the jacket has become my go and grab layer for early morning dog walks and shooting content. It's warm without feeling bulky, which is a miracle. When I signed up as a new VIP, I got 80% off everything, which really blew me away. The quality really surprised me. These pieces feel like the kind of high-end activewear you'd pay $200 for, but I'm getting that level of quality at a fraction of the price. That makes the membership feel like it pays for itself. And the fit and feel are dialed in. No waistbands rolling down, joggers that actually keep their shape, jackets that are warm without all the bulk. It solves the usual issues I've had with activewear while still being soft, breathable, and durable enough for workouts, travel, or everyday wear. Honestly, I didn't realize how much I'd wear Fabletics until I tried it. Now it's pretty much my everyday gear. You should check it out. Fabletics already has amazing deals, but right now they're running their biggest sale of the year on top of that. And I've got an exclusive offer just for you. 80% off everything when you sign up as a VIP. Head to fabletics.com/Katie and sign up as a VIP to get 80% off everything. This is only available through my link, so go to fabletics.com/Katie to sign up as a VIP and get 80% off. That's fabletics.com/Katie. Today's episode is sponsored by OneSkin. This time of year, my skin always needs extra care. Between the colder weather and nonstop holiday filming, travel, and events, it can get dry, dull, and honestly, a little stressed out. That's why I've been sticking with OneSkin. You know how much I love their OS1 face moisturizer? It's been such a game changer for me. I use it every morning before makeup, and it's kept my skin feeling smoother and way more hydrated than I expected. I wasn't sure how well it would work at first, but once I saw how quickly my skin looked brighter and healthier, I was hooked. One of the things I really appreciate is that their whole line is powered by their patented OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to target the senescent cells, which are the root causes of wrinkles, crepiness, and loss of elasticity. And these results have been validated in 5 clinical studies, which I love as someone who likes data behind their claims. OneSkin also just launched their limited edition holiday sets, including the Nightly Rewind gift set, and it's such a good gift. It comes with their best-selling face moisturizer, their brand new peptide lip mask, which I also love, and a sculpting gua sha tool. Everything is designed to work together as your body goes into its natural nightly repair mode, so your skin wakes up smoother, stronger, and more refreshed. I'm gifting this to a couple people on my list this year because it feels luxurious but also actually effective. For a limited time, try OneSkin for 15% off using code Katie at oneskin.co/Katie. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Again, that's 15% off with code Katie at oneskin.co/Katie.
I was in a sober house in my early 20s, and there was one guy who threw a Bible at me and chucked books at me and told me my dad something, I don't know, was had the devil inside of me. My dad disobeyed Jesus or something. Yeah. And I'm sure there's there's definitely been internalized homophobia through the years, and coming to accept different parts of the LGBTQ community as I get older, and that has taken time, which I think just comes from years of me learning to basically unhate myself from years of learning to hate myself as a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, the act of saying I'm gay was never hard.
Yeah, and that makes sense. So you talked about a sober house.
Yeah.
When did you first go into rehab?
That was 24. So
Okay.
I entered recovery at 24.
Did you decide to go yourself, or were you forced? Yeah, because I was
intervention.
Mm-hmm. Oh, intervention.
Yeah.
Sit you down, go around the room, full intervention?
Family, yeah.
Ooh.
My parents' house.
I'm so sorry.
I know.
It's so awful. People always ask me about those, and I'm this sounds terrible to say because I don't specialize in the treatment of addiction, but I do with eating disorders, and I'm not putting them in the same bucket.
Yeah.
But they're similar in desire for treatment,
Mm-hmm.
in that we don't want to get better.
Yeah.
So people are always well, I think if we told them, and I'm you can tell them whatever you want, but know that may not sway the needle at all because they have to decide.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so intervention, did you know it was coming?
No idea.
You were blindsided. Ooh.
I went home because I was dating someone. I mean, listen, when you take like first love, you take two people who are struggling with addiction and trying to find themselves, two gay guys in their early 20s, like, and I mean, it was like a disaster relationship.
Super toxic, tumultuous.
Yeah. And so I went home to like get a break. And my family had an intervention at like 7 a.m.
God.
I think so. My brother lives up with my parents. He's autistic. Like before he got up, they wanted to do it. So,
because he sleeps in.
Yeah, he sleeps in. So and then I went to rehab.
In Minnesota?
In Minnesota. And I will say, even though like that first trip to rehab I didn't stay sober as a result of that, it introduced me to
the thought of it, or like
recovery.
Okay.
Which I did not know existed. I didn't know, or I had a false idea of what recovery was and who the people in recovery were.
Interesting. Yeah, like you thought they had to look one kind of way.
Yeah, or I thought like alcoholics were a certain way, like, because alcohol was what I like struggled with, and so I thought, alcoholics were basically like this kind of person, and I thought because I had, a job, or because I was a certain age, or like I couldn't struggle with this thing, or I couldn't like be in that category. And so being introduced, even though I was like forced into it, and I also like in many ways like am grateful for that relationship too, because I don't know how long I would have struggled if that relationship didn't expedite, because that relationship took basically like my struggle with addiction, and it took it from like 0 to 60 in the matter of like a year and a half.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it really sped things up.
I mean, it just catapulted it so fast.
How'd your family know how bad it was? I mean, I say that kind of...
I mean, he was calling them. It was like a very toxic...
Gotcha. So they got pulled in whether they noticed differences in you or not.
Yeah.
And I do think there is something to like the stigma that we can have around what it looks like to be an alcoholic or a drug addict. And I think it is important for people to note that it's all shapes and sizes, all different levels socioeconomically.
Yeah.
I honestly feel, and this might be like not appropriate, but I feel like money hides it longer sometimes. That's what I found in like working with addiction and being around people, is that that's really the only difference, is that you might not see it as quickly if someone has more money, because they have other people that can do things for them when they can't get up, or they can't make that, or they're flaky on this. It like is covered more, but it affects everybody. Addiction
is so in the family, and I have an uncle who like he travels like, because a lot of my family's in South Dakota, and he travels like 40 minutes to and from an AA meeting once a week, because there's not like in the town, because my mom grew up in a town of like 180 people.
Yeah.
And so I think about it in places like that though, where it's like they can get like, because they only farm like 4 months out of the year, so it's like they have
a lot of time on their
8
hands.
months out of the year where like they can kind of white knuckle it for 4 months, and they have 8 months. Or I think about when I went to Alaska on a family trip, and I was like interacting with people, and they're like, oh yeah, we just work our asses off for 3 months a year, and then we just like kind of do alcohol, like we kind of just drink and do drugs for 9 months a year.
Yeah
where it's like so rampant in these like areas where you can kind of like just kind of like manage like an alcoholic or like addict lifestyle for like your entire life.
I mean, as long as your body will tolerate it, I guess, right?
Where I think in places like New York it's much more difficult, or like in cities where it's like if you're not on, like you're gonna fall behind real fast.
You have consistent responsibilities. It's not a short-lived thing. So that was your first stint in rehab. When did you end up back there? Like, how long were you sober after that first?
3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had friends and people in my life, it's like a month, 2 months, 5 days. So 3 years is significant.
Yeah, so basically, like, kind of the journey was, like, I was sober for a few years. And then I think the biggest misconception that time after my first, like, stint in recovery was that like you kind of do the work and then you like continue to like go to meetings and stuff, and like that's it.
You don't want to hear this, but control isn't always the villain until it quietly takes over everything. Some control keeps us safe, like traffic laws and healthcare systems. But when control leaks into our relationships or self-worth, it can wreck us. My new book is all about that contradiction. Why Do I Keep Doing This is available now for pre-order, link in bio.
That time after my first like stint in recovery was that like you kind of do the work and then you like continue to like go to meetings and stuff, and like that's it. Like it's I have a very active program that's like continuous every single week and every day. I mean, listen, not like there are days where it's like, I mean, no one has like, I don't know anyone in this program that has like a perfect program where it's like every single day they're like.
No, in life isn't that way.
Yeah.
You can have really shitty days where you're like your worst version of yourself. And the urges to do things that you know are healthy for you are back.
Yeah.
So you have good days and bad days.
But I think what was different then is I didn't have the understanding that there has to be like continuous like inventory on self and check on self, and also taking people through this work to like keep me in the book and keep me in the work. And then I think the other misconception is that like, or the other thing that I didn't realize, and it's no fault to like the person who took me through this book, but like that I have to like constantly surrender like to something bigger than myself. Mm-hmm. And that hard. Like when I'm trying to run the show, like that's when it's dangerous territory for me.
Yeah, I think for all of us. Like, yeah. I know it's interesting being aware of like AA and NA and Al-Anon and all of those things. I think the one thing that I've realized in life is that like when we try to control, like that's what my new book is going to be all about. Yeah. It's essentially like when we try to control, we like fuck shit up. Yeah. Like we should probably just stop pretending. Yeah. Like that's where people pleasing comes from, perfectionism. That's when our relationships go south. That's when we, start numbing out, like shopping, exercising, alcohol, drug, whatever it is. Okay, so you said inventory. Mm-hmm. You love an inventory. You talk about them all the time. Yeah. For those who aren't aware, what does that mean?
Yeah, and it's like, listen, sometimes I'm better in life and at it, and sometimes I'm not. It basically is like when I'm struggling with something and it's like continuous. I mean, I have like inventory that I do, like I'm on a text thread with two other men who are also in the program, and I'd say I write like 4 times a week. I'm on the chat where I'll do like a daily inventory, and I'll just like keep tabs on myself, like where was I resentful? Where was I, self-seeking? Where was I selfish? Where did I do harm? Where did fear pop up? And just like keep a tabs on like, where am I in my day? Where am I in life? Like if I'm not being in check on these things, like this is where, and it's not like that if like I'm being fearful or if I'm like resentful, I'm going to go like drink today or tomorrow. I've been sober for like several years now, and so I don't have this fear, like I have no desire to drink, but one, I do have a desire to live like the most peaceful life I can live. I have a desire to like not be dominated by fear and to not be and I live in a city that is like New York, that is like constantly like filled with stressors, and I have my own business, so it's like I'm constantly having these stressors. So it's like, if I'm not keeping up on this, I start to like, it affects everything in my life. It affects my sleep. It affects like the relationships in my life. And if I'm not doing this, I notice it. Like,
yeah. So it's like you're keeping tabs on yourself so that those things don't get out of hand.
Yeah.
Because the fear can grow, or the urge to take control can grow. Yeah. And then it can become bigger than you want it to, and it can cause you to do things you wouldn't want to do.
Yeah, and it's always noticeable when it happens. And then if it gets like out of hand, like if something gets out of hand, and I would say it's like a consistent person that's like bothering me,
like or friendship, relationship,
like a friendship or like a relationship, and let's just say like I can't get over it. Like it's like on my mind for weeks.
Yep, you're ruminating. I've done that. Yeah, where you're like thinking about this person or situation or the way that they talk to you.
Or they show up in my dreams, or like sometimes like financial fear. And like I don't have reason for financial fear right now in my life, but it can still affect me.
The scarcity we didn't forget. Like, yeah. Financial trauma is a big thing people don't talk about.
For most of my life until like probably like 31 or 32, like I was paycheck to paycheck. I don't have a reason for financial fear right now, but if I'm not like keeping tab, like it can still like pop up. And so like when I have those kind of moments, that's when I have to do like a more thorough inventory. And then that's when I will read it with another person.
Like a sponsor?
Or like a friend in the program. Usually like a friend in the program, like a close friend who I talk to on a regular basis. And then that's when I go like, what is the underlying fear here? Like what's going on, and do a check, like what are the truths behind that fear? And usually it like all stems down to like the fears that we all probably like in and out of this program. They're like, the fears are usually the same. It's like fear of not being good enough, fear of being alone, fear of being abandoned, like these like common
Basic
fears
human.
that are like pretty, and like what are the real truths behind this? I mean, we all have different childhood experiences, but these are things that we learn as like from such a young age, depending on...
Yeah, and you have to like deprogram it. It takes effort. You have to consciously be aware. It's interesting because whenever you talk about inventories, I'm like, I feel like everybody should do them. It shouldn't be just a program thing. I feel like it should be like a life program.
Yeah.
Because whenever we struggle to sleep, whenever we find ourselves ruminating on things, whenever we find ourselves acting out of character, not liking the way we handled something, like all of that, those are indicators that we're not in alignment.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people will be like, well, what does that mean? But it's like, if you're not in alignment with like who you really are, the values that you have, or where you want to go, like you'll start to feel like a rub in life where things feel hard, and you start to only see the negative, and you start picking fights where you shouldn't pick fights, and not responding well to life's stressors, or numbing out. And so there's all these different things, and the fact that you do those regularly, I feel like is something that everybody
sometimes.
But you try.
But I found someone who took me through this program line by line, and like it really just like saved my life and moved me to a new place, because I think there were so many the biggest thing that I didn't know. It's like I thought I knew so much, like having been, I mean, most of my life has, not most, I guess, but gosh, I was introduced to this program at like 23 years old. So it's like, and honestly, like I probably, since 23, I probably only drank like collectively, like probably 25 days. Like,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
because it's like, I'm just like not a good drinker. Like it's like,
it's not good for you. So in 15 years, you've just been like, this is not a good choice.
but I thought I knew so much from this experience. And I think the biggest thing that was so helpful is I did do the set aside prayer, and I'll still do it today, like to this day, for anything that I like walk into that I feel anxious about. Like I did it like walking into this, like,
I'm sorry.
Like,
Stressed you out.
but like anything, like if I'm going into a conflict or like to a pitch, let me just set aside everything that I think I know so that I may walk in a blank canvas. Mm-hmm. And like, if I'm like walking into anything with these biases and these prejudices and this like, this belief that I like know what I need to do and that I like have this like knowledge, and like in many ways I'm like kind of effing my experience.
Well, yeah, because you have preconceived ideas, right? So it's like it colors what we see. When you do that like prayer, like let me set aside all these things that I think, are you able to like, and then do it? Because I feel like that's the hardest for me, is I could say something, but it's like a battle in my brain.
Yeah, I mean, that one I said like 30 to 40 times a day for like weeks on end, because it was like I thought I knew so much, and I think there was no God in my program. I know people get so weirded out about that word, and like
higher power, spirit.
Yeah, and it's I had to get over like my prejudices about that word. But it's like the reality is I also had to like be upfront that like, one, this word God and like this idea of like something bigger than us has existed like far before anyone who's watching this podcast or anyone who's in this room, and like existed across like all of these other like regions all over this like planet before any of us could even talk, in all forms. And so who am I, this person who's like struggling with like trying to sort his life out and get his life together? Like, who am I to say that I know better than all these other people? One.
Yeah. And
to like have this like grandiose, egotistical like idea that I somehow know better.
Today's episode is sponsored by Crowd Health. Open enrollment is here, and if you're anything like me, this is the time of year when the confusion around health insurance really ramps up. The fine print, the surprise costs, the feeling that you're signing up for something you don't fully understand. It can leave you feeling taken advantage of. And honestly, so many of us, myself included, just auto-renew because the whole system feels overwhelming. That's why I think it's so important to make informed choices, and why I wanted to tell you about Crowd Health, a healthcare alternative for people who want more transparency and control. Instead of playing the health insurance game again this year, Crowd Health lets you join a community of people funding each other's medical bills directly. No middlemen, no networks, no nonsense. Here's how it works. For under $100 a month, you get access to a team of medical bill negotiators, tools to find low-cost prescriptions and lab tests, and a database of vetted, high-quality doctors. And if something major happens, you pay the first $500, and then the crowd steps in to help fund the rest. It feels like the kind of options we used to have before everything got so complicated. And members have already saved over $40 million by refusing to overpay for healthcare. This year, especially with many ACA subsidies expiring and prices going up, it's crucial to understand what you're signing up for and what alternatives exist. This open enrollment, take your power back. Join Crowd Health to get started today for only $99 for the first 3 months using code AskKatie at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com, code AskKatie. Crowd Health is not insurance. Opt out. Take your power back. This is how we win. Join crowdhealth.com. Today's episode is sponsored by Remy. If you followed me for a while, you know I've been wearing a night guard for over 10 years. I clench my jaw in my sleep, and over the years, I've spent thousands of dollars replacing custom night guards from the dentist. So when I tried Remy, I honestly wondered, why didn't this exist sooner? The process was so easy, and the quality of the guard I got back was just as good, if not better, than the ones I'd paid way more for. About 30% of US adults grind or clench their teeth at night, and that's why I use Remy. Their custom night guards are clinically tested to help protect your teeth from grinding, reduce jaw tension and facial muscle strain, and even improve sleep quality. You get the same professional fit and comfort that you'd get from a dentist, but at 80% less cost. And you can use your HSA or FSA, which I love. Here's how the process worked for me. They sent the impression kit straight to my door. I followed the step-by-step instructions, super easy, took me about 15 minutes. I mailed it back, and Remy crafted and shipped my custom-fit night guard right to me. The moment I put it in, I thought, this fits exactly like the expensive ones, and I started using it that night to protect my teeth. And for the holiday season, Remy is gifting their customers with their 2-in-1 foam that both cleans your night guard and whitens your teeth for free when you order a night guard between now and December 24th. Go to shopremy.com/Katie and use code Katie to receive 55% off your new night guard, plus a free foam gift. That's shopremi.com/Katie for 55% off a night guard plus free gift using code Katie. Thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode.
God in my program, I know people get so weirded out about that word. Yep. And like
higher power, spirit.
Yeah, and it's
source.
I mean, I had to get over like my prejudices about that word. But it's like the reality is I also had to like be upfront that like, one, this word God and like this idea of like something bigger than us has existed like far before anyone who's watching this podcast or anyone who's in this room, and like existed across like all of these other like regions all over this like planet before any of us could even talk, in all forms. And so who am I, this person who's like struggling with like trying to sort his life out and get his life together? Like, who am I to say that I know better than all these other people? One.
Yeah.
And to like have this like grandiose, egotistical like idea that I somehow know better.
Yeah. Which we all think we know better.
Yeah.
It's almost like even with our parents.
Like, I'm trying to like sort my life out and like I somehow have the answers.
I'm having a really shit time, but yet I'm the smartest person.
Yeah.
But we think that. We totally do.
And so, but the moment I was like able to like actually come to a place that it was like deep down, like within me was this like fundamental like idea of God that I like, once I stripped away all of this, like these fears and insecurities, there was like this place that I could go to, and you can call it like a gut intuition or, you know, God or whatever it may be, that I could go to and that like had the answers if I get into a place of quiet and pause that's not dominated by fear. And so if I just do my part and then let go of the results and accept like life for what it was, and there was like none of that in my program before. There was like still this like desire to like control everything. It was like, there was like the alcohol piece where it was like, okay, I knew that like that I couldn't do, but then there was like everything else that I felt like I had to control.
Isn't it interesting? It's like we think it's one thing, but it's like whack-a-mole. The alcohol is just one representation of a need for control or a need for you to take back something. Or,
yeah. Where it's like now it's like I do have this like very like I have this very clear understanding that like I have very little power, and I don't mean that in like a way that I don't have the ability to like show up in my life and I don't have the ability to like show up in my relationships. But the reality is like I can do that, but there's so many other factors like going on in this world and going on in like your previous experiences, like all the other things that can happen that like I can just like show up and do my part, and I have to let go of the results, because the moment that I try to control the results, and like that's where it's dangerous territory. And I just have to be very clear that like I'm powerless in every area of my life.
If anybody else out there is struggling, or let's say someone's like day one sober, what advice would you have for them?
I'd probably say like get to a meeting only to like just find community, because it's like it's so early on that it's like the brain fog is still there, like the brain is like so crazy at that point. Like just find community.
Yeah. Do you feel like is the detox part of that really rough?
I never had to deal with like
you didn't have like delirium tremens,
crazy alcohol detox, because I never drank for extended periods of time. But if people who are, because I know it's a very serious detox and people have died, like Amy Winehouse died of this. Like you shouldn't be drinking for like several years straight every single day and then just like go to a meeting. No, you should probably go to a doctor.
Yeah. Go to the hospital, please. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's just like there's so much fear and anxiety and like shame. And it's like that I think is honestly like the most difficult part.
So you think AA saved your life?
Yeah, I think it's
you
like
saved your own life, but
recovery has given me just so much in life in every area of my life. Like it's like there's so many people I hear, like when I first got sober, people are like, oh, I'm so grateful to be an alcoholic, and you'd be like, why would they say that? Like why? And it's like now, having been in this program for so long, it's like I almost have so much more than some of my friends who don't. And it's like I get so many gifts from this. I've received so many gifts from this recovery journey that I wouldn't have had I not had this journey in my life. I've had my business for like 8 or 9 years now. And like the last 6 or 7 is when it like really grew, going through the work this way. And I never like, I'm not in recovery to like build my business or to like.
No, but it happens to work together well.
It was like, and I say this because it's just like, it shows me that like when I was able to turn over the results, because it's almost like I had this idea like for so much of my 20s, and listen, I had a successful business, or I had a successful career like in corporate America in my 20s until like my early 30s, and worked all over, but my business was so contrived in the beginning because I was always trying to control the results and my clients' perception and opinions of me. And like that came down to like whenever I thought they had a negative opinion.
Oh, you try to like compensate and like.
Yeah, and like was try to like over apologize in emails, or send another email if I didn't get a response fast enough, or like I would be very afraid to set boundaries. I would almost like give them more than the scope. And there was one person who I think we both know, and I remember, and I didn't realize this until I did inventory on him, resentment inventory. And I brought him onto a project, and he's a little younger than me and more successful than I am. And I brought him onto a project, and then he ended up taking more of the project, and I resented him for it. And he was so firm with his boundaries with the client. They would ask him things, and he'd be like, no, that's not in scope. And I was always so afraid to say that. And I was like, gosh, he's such an asshole. He's such an asshole. And until I did resentment inventory, I didn't understand the truth, or I didn't come to the realization that like I just wasn't able to do that because of fear. So you were mad at him because he was able to do it almost. Yeah. And there was like envy because he was more successful than I was at a younger age. Mm-hmm. And I was like, had fear of not being liked, fear of like losing the client, fear of like financial insecurity. Like all these fears were dominating me, making me incapable of like setting up boundaries, making me incapable of like communicating my needs to the client. Like when a client asks me things and it's not in scope, I say, no, I can't do that. It's not in scope.
Yeah, but you can add it on for a price or whatever, right? The recovery process has been really beneficial for you because awareness does help us become better versions of ourselves.
Yeah, and I notice a lot of my friendships have changed in the last like 6-7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And some have ended.
And that is the thing, with growth comes ending of relationships, and that can be, it's still sad, but it means that relationship, because I've felt this, I'm speaking personally, of my friendships and relationships over the years that have ended, it was because either they were outgrowing me and I couldn't get my shit together, or I'm outgrowing them. And I don't mean as a judgment of like they're worse, I'm better, but it's like I have to be honest about this dynamic and why did I choose this person, and what were they expecting of me, what am I expecting of them, and did I communicate that? Probably not. Yeah. And like as soon as I do, then it doesn't work the way it used to.
Yeah. I mean, I would like bend over backwards for people, especially if I had this like perception that they could like were more important than me, or like had something that I wanted, or whereas like now it's just, I don't know, there's just different. And listen, I'm not by no means perfect, and I can be like an asshole and can be selfish and can be like all these things, and I'm like, I have so much growth that still needs to happen, and you know, this is like a journey, and like even this journey is still like
same.
Yeah.
5 steps forward, 2 steps back. Yeah. Sometimes 5 steps back, 2 steps forward.
I think the most interesting thing that I've also learned is this idea of not to be afraid of these hard moments. And I think before I was so afraid of like when anything in life becomes difficult,
avoiding.
And now I do see it as like this opportunity. I remember I go back to this like moment, and like intimate relationships have been like, it's like the one area where it's like I really need growth there. And work was like an area where I did need growth, and it's like the one area where I've had like the most growth, because I used to just be so fearful that I would offend someone, or like that I would look weak at work, or that like people wouldn't like, or that I wouldn't be good enough for work. And like I felt that a lot because I worked at like Google and World Economic Forum and Target and all these places, and I worked with like the Ivy League kids and all these things that I didn't like have that pedigree, and I didn't go to prep schools, and I felt inferior in many of the places I worked, and so one area that I just like don't feel that way anymore. But intimate relationships is where I think
That's your next area of
my
growth focus.
But the last, I would say, person I fell for, someone that I matched with on a dating app, met in Madrid, turned into a 2-week
I remember
trip in Spain, or 10 days. He came with me. Then, brilliant idea. I flew to Spain a couple more times, and then I flew him to New York, and then I liked him more than he liked me. And but in that, I remember he left my place, and I remember he left before his flight left. And so I remember coming back to my place and not seeing his clothes there in his suitcase, and falling to the floor crying. And in that, there was so much growth, and doing inventory around that. And it also taught me that all of these moments are moments I get to grow. And if I don't have these moments, to be honest, I'm not going to.
No, we have to be forced.
I'm not going to take the time to grow. So it's and even there was when I was trying to get through the steps this time, I was stuck in the fourth step, which is a pretty intense step. It's where a lot of people get stuck. And two of my closest friends, I was in a fight with, and that's what it took me to finish the fourth step. And so it's you almost I have to have these moments in life to push me to
to actually do the work. It is that way. We kind of have to be forced a little bit.
Yeah, it's Eckhart Tolle, I think, says adversity is the greatest gift in life, because it's the only thing that forces us to actually grow and change. Yeah,
and I agree. If you don't have any strife, if you don't have any challenge, why are you going to level up, or why are you going to push yourself? You won't. It's not to reference track, but if you're running track and someone's just passing you a little bit, it pushes you to run faster. It's that challenge, that competition. You need that push a little bit.
Yeah, it's I'm blanking on his name, the 400-meter runner from the Olympics last year.
Oh,
it was
so
funny. He was in 5th place and came back, and he was I forget his quote. He was you can't outrun a dog. A dog will chase you down, or something.
So what do we have to look forward to from Jared Kraft in the future? What are your next exciting opportunities?
I really want to try living in a different country.
You've been talking about it for a while.
I know, and I need to get past. This is where fear blocks me. It's everything in life is has been very stable for a very long time, and
You're a mover.
I'm a mover, and I'm everything is my clients have been consistent, my life has been consistent, my home is consistent. Where is some change? Which that's always hard for me to get used to. But I've always wanted to live in a different country. And I think the blocking me is work has been very good and whatever the past 3 years. And so then there's always the fear of saying no to work, or saying
the fear of change.
In financial loss, to be honest.
Yeah. But it's you want change, but you fear it at the same time.
Yeah. And I think the fear is oh, these might be my high earning years. Am I giving that up to I'm not afraid to go to a different country. I'm afraid of making less money. That's the honest fear, is financial insecurity.
I think that's a big one for a lot of people.
Especially in this economy and
and
state of the world. And
it's understandable. So maybe we'll find you in
And then
Brazil,
the fear of parents
Spain.
Getting older. That's
Yeah, that is hard.
That's the other fear. It's that's the other fear of moving to a different country. It's
being
you
farther.
See your parents getting older, and then
you can't get there as quickly.
Being further away. Yeah. So I don't know what's next. I have no idea.
We'll find out. The universe will tell you.
Universe will tell me.
Thank you for talking with us.
Thank you. I don't know if I provided valuable insight or not.
You always provide valuable insight. We haven't talked about addiction at all on the podcast. So I think it's helpful for people to hear someone's story, to hear the ups and downs of it and what it really looks like.
Yeah.
So it was helpful.
It can be a painful journey, but it can be a very positive journey.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a place to hopefully help some people.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.